At its meeting on Tuesday, September 8th, the Select Board approved the charge and composition of the Needham Unite Against Racism Working Group. Municipal producer Yu Xiaowen has more details.
We have provided you with a charge and a list of 13 people.
The working group is charged with creating a vision for racial equity in Needham, getting community feedback, prioritizing recommendations that have been submitted to the Select Board, and making recommendations to the board about future action. Members of the group include Marian Cooley and Matt Borelli from the Needham Select Board, Sue Neckes from the School Committee, Jan Howard and Marcus Nelson from the Needham Human Rights Committee, David Samagrat from the Needham Diversity Initiative, Jay Spencer, the owner of French Press, Ramin Abrashami from Needham Clergy Association, and residents at large, Vivian Su, Dennis Zhang, Natasha Espada, Dr. Alutrin Fayemi, and Oluwatomi Ajayi.
We were very clear that the composition of the group had to include Black, Indigenous, people of color, and other people who've been whose groups have been marginalized based on race. So that was a critical piece for us. We also felt that in order to make real change in the local government structure, we had to have some elected officials on there. So that's why we have elected select board members and a school committee member. We also knew that there are groups that are long-standing that the select board and the town staff have been working with for years on issues of diversity and inclusion, and that included the Human Rights Committee and the Diversity Initiative. So that was the reason that those were selected. And we really talked about where else in the community structural racism may exist, or people have suggested that it might exist, and felt like the business community was a small business community in the downtown was something that we were very interested in. Mm-hmm. And as well, a member of the Needham clergy who represents just a wide sector of our community. And so we just brainstormed people who have raised an interest in the subject matter, people who came to the listening session and had a lot to say, which was really helpful, and people who do this professionally for their work, who are involved in this kind of work on a day-to-day basis.
Many of the members have been actively engaged in recent anti-racism events in town. Natasha Espada and Dr. Alutrin Fayemi spoke at the first Needham Unite Against Racism listening session in July.
If we want diversity, we need housing that is affordable for the middle class. The state mandates affordable housing and we meet the minimum required, but we continue to tear down houses to build multi-million-dollar homes.
I can tell you that several times a year in this town, I'll have an interaction that is extremely unpleasant. And I would say every couple of years, I'll have an interaction that makes me want to move out of Needham.
Oluwatomi Ajayi is a recent Needham High School graduate. In June, she addressed the crowd at Memorial Field for the Black Lives Matter rally organized by Needham High School students.
During a snowstorm in the 8th grade, my advisor teacher asked me why I was still at school because the MECO kids had been dismissed. When I told her that although I was Black, I actually lived in Needham, instead of apologizing for her racial profiling, she walked away. When there's a problem at school, we're told to tell the teacher. But what do you do when the adult who is supposed to support you is the one refusing to take responsibility for their actions?
At Tuesday's meeting, Select Board Chair Mo Handel reaffirmed the town's commitment to racial equity.
This problem of racism in our society affects every aspect of life in every community, even Needham. And it isn't just the work of this board or this committee. Every organization in this town has to look to itself to see where it can improve that situation and overcome years of entrenched racism that we've all become very used to, and some of us don't even see anymore because it's so inherent. So this is a problem that we have to solve, and I think the composition of the committee reflects a commitment to bring in as many aspects of our community into the discussion.
For the Needham Channel News, I'm Yu Xiaoyuan.